lack of self-accountability on some people is just taken up to a whole other level. It's not taken into one notch or two. It is just blown completely out of reality, I guess. So I've been trying to do a video on this, but it just, the whole can of worms I opened up for myself, it just blew in my face, right? And I can't help but laugh. It's just hilarious to me how these people feel so entitled, and the lack of their self-accountability is like they have no conscience in there. Like, hello, I want to knock that, head of theirs. Are you in there? But no. If you can do reading Earthlings, I am back finally. Thank goodness. I've been trying to do a video. I really have, but I don't know what's going on. But I keep messing up with his giggles, and they won't stop. So I hate to do a video and be giggling through the whole thing because it's a serious matter. But I don't know. Can I really be serious? I'm gonna try to be serious about it because this is serious. I mean, it is serious, in a way. But anyways, lack of self-accountability. Still in that, being self-accountable for ourselves kind of situation. And when I started to speak about this, right, it just opened up a whole can of worms for me, okay? God only knows why. The self-accountability matter really matters. Really matters, and just, I guess the can of worms just blew up in my face. Whew. But the self-accountability thing, I just discovered a whole new area in it, a whole new crack in the lack of self-accountability, right? The I don't know, the entitlement, yes, the self-entitlement, the spoilness behind the self-accountability that people have. It just blew my mind. It's not like I haven't noticed it before. I have, but I really never paid close attention like I have lately. It's completely blew my freaking mind to the point that I started, going back in time on how before I would be so bamboozled into believing that I was delusional, that all the twistery, the gaslighting, the emotional blackmail, all the manipulative tactics, all that stuff. I truly believed I was the one delusional. I was seeing things. I was questioning my own experience and my own reality. That's how bad the lack of self-accountability that people around you carry, and you take that energy into your own experience and you make it your own, right? Because they lack so much self-accountability for themselves that you try to adjust every move, every action, every word they say, they how they move, how they live, blah blah blah, and you try to balance the whole jambalaya of things, and you start believing that distortion is part of you, that the lack of self-accountability and self-entitlement to your life, to everything about you, right? To what your experience is going through the lack of their self-accountability. going through the experience of their spoiled entitlement to what's yours, to your own experience that you know you're living because you witnessed the whole thing, you was in there. But the whole mirage of, no, you're imagining things, right? You didn't do that. No, you didn't say that. No, you did, or you did that, or blah, blah, blah. You know, but the lack of self-accountability on some people is just taken up to a whole other level. It's not taken into one notch or two. It is just blown completely out of reality, I guess. So I've been trying to do a video on this, but it just, the whole can of worms I opened up for myself, it just blew in my face, right? And I can't help but laugh. It's just hilarious to me how these people feel so entitled, and the lack of their self-accountability is like they have no conscience in there. Like, hello, I want to knock that, head of theirs. Are you in there? But no. If you can do or say anything, because God forbid, your head will be chopped off completely. Okay? So, back to the self-accountability issue. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to dig in deep. And that hell, if I'm hated some more, oh well, so be it. I've lost a lot. Like, a lot. I'm talking about a lot. A lot. Been attacked left and right, up and down, all the way around. And it's just hilarious. It's so funny to me. It's unbelievable. I guess I'm completely delusional, because this is just a whole other level of let's talk about self-accountability, okay? But anyways, hopefully I get through to this video without laughing so much, because I can't help it. I can't help it. I've been trying to do these videos and it's like, blah, completely mess it up. And I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it today. All right, I'll do it tomorrow. And I'll do it tomorrow. And then these giggles they're not going away. So I might as well just keep them. Might as well just go with them. Because this matter is a serious matter. Very serious matter. But I can't help but laugh. It's so serious. It is hilarious. Very funny matter. In that people pretend all this shenanigans, and the lack of self-accountability for themselves in any area of their life is just, I have no words. I'm completely stupefied at this point. Completely stupefied. I'm like, huh? I thought I was delusional. Whew. I mean, I do stay in my own delusion, but God almighty, that is a whole other level of, I want no accountability for myself kind of thing, But anyway, stick around, because we're going to go in deep, and cross your fingers that I don't mess up this video again by giggling and laughing too much, because I'm going to have to shut it down again. Alright? See you in a bit. Okay. Let's jump in to strategies for navigating others' people's lack of self-accountability. Okay? Hopefully this helps someone out there. Because I know a lot of us are going through a lot of whatever shifts that we have going on right now. Okay? So, let's look into these strategies, okay? Number one, clarify expectations. And I know sometimes expectations aren't good, right? But when there is, in any relationship, in any situationship, more like. Expectations are a must. Especially when you are genuine with yourself and with other people, right? Expectations are a must. Boundaries are a must. Everything in moderation, everything in balance, right? No exaggerating of any narrative, right? There's healthy boundaries. There's unbalanced boundaries. There's healthy expectations, and there's non-healthy expectations. So it all comes down to the balance and imbalances of ourselves. So, number 1, clarify expectations between you and the other person. Ensure that responsibilities and commitments are clearly outlined, are clearly set. This reduces misunderstandings, right? So it's basically, you come to an agreement with a person, where everything is set on the clear. This is my expectation of this or of that, or, vice versa. So clarifying whatever expectation leaves no room for misunderstandings, right? So that's number 1, to dealing with other people's bullcrap, other people's lack of self-accountability. So make sure you clarify whatever expectation there is. Make sure there is no misunderstanding. Make sure they get it right through their consciousness. Look, this is how it's going to be, and this is how it's not going to be. This is what it is, and this is what it's not. Okay? So be very clear about certain expectations, and hopefully they do the same. And also, getting things in writing really helps. Again, here I go with my writing, of course. Don't forget your little journals and your notebooks, because sometimes the mind forgets. Sometimes if we don't journal, if we don't write things down, whatever situation we're going through, or just to notate important things, between you and another person, just brings a whole other level to your own awareness. Okay, well, this day, this happened, and this was the agreement, or, this and that, or whatever. I mean, journaling really, really does help. So make sure to clarify, whatever expectation, and if it's possible to get it in writing, especially when it comes to, agreeing on something. That's very important. And that's a note to self. I'm really good at writing things and journaling things, but I need to amp it up a little bit. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is communicate proactively. Communicating proactively, just address whatever concerns directly and as professional as you can, right? Just the whole direct communication in a professional setting really helps. Again, this is one of my issues that I was having, because I know that it's a serious matter, right? So communicating proactively, where you make it clear, this is serious. This is not a game. This is not, okay, maybe you won't take it serious or whatever, but this is what it is, and this is what it's not. Again, focus on the impact that the assigning of this expectations have. All right, if this is not met, if this expectation is not met, okay, well, the impact that it's going to have is going to have a consequence, right? And minimize the blaming. That minimizes the blaming, more like, to a minimum. So communicating proactively, where we're not blaming each other, where we're not blaming, okay, well, you did this, you did that, blah, 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 because that'll just go on forever. It's like a never ending story, right? So communicate and address whatever concerns directly and as professional as you can, and just keep the focus on the impact that if those expectations aren't met, well, this is the outcome, or this is, whatever, it's not going to happen, or whatever, it could happen, right? So communicate proactively, number 2. All right, moving on to number 3, and I'm going to move through this a little bit quicker, so I won't, do like a whole hour video that I was trying to avoid. Okay, so number 3, follow up consistently. All right, be consistent on the follow-up of whatever agreement, of whatever expectation, right? Reinforce that accountability by tracking the commitment, by tracking how really committed am I, or is that other person, to whatever we agreed on, or whatever we have going on. So reinforcing that accountability really puts it out there and clear, because we learn through repetition, right? We learn through practice. We learn through, just doing things over and over until we get it right. So reinforcing accountability, or reinforcing self-accountability between, two individuals, about, this certain expectation, blah, blah, blah. And just like a little reminder, keep track of it. Track how committed the accountability seems or is going, hope that makes sense. Just in a way, just like friendly reminders, I would say, of what is necessary to keep that commitment. And more like, okay, well, you said this and you said that, and we had agreed on something. So, let's just refresh our memory, right? Let's, fulfill our word, fulfill our part in whatever situationship we have going on. As many reminders as it is necessary, because I know some of us lose our darn patience, okay? Me, I think I'm a very patient person, but then it comes to a certain time where, no, I've already had enough of this. And obviously the self-accountability thing is not being heard. It's not being met. It's not really being fulfilled to whatever that individual came to agreed upon, with me. So eventually I lose my shit. I have a lot of patience, but when I lose it, that's it. That's why I am very patient, because once I start losing my patience, I know how I get. I know if I get into that space of I've had enough, I know there is no going back. There is absolutely no chances of me going back. So, just reinforcing accountability, in a friendly manner, just, testing the waters. Are you still committed to what you said, or are you just pulling my leg? Are you, just, hello? Are we still doing this, or what? Just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too harsh with my words, but I don't think so. I think when it comes to any agreements or any, if I gave you my word and you gave me yours, I think that should be fulfilled, right? But again, that's just me, because, to me personally, my word is my honor. My word, I am bounded to to my word. I am going to honor my word, and if I don't honor it, then it's because I am going around some things to make things more comfortable for you. And if we have to, adjust this or adjust that, I'm willing to. But, just reinforcing that accountability is important. So follow up consistently and patiently. But once you lose your shit, don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel shame. Don't fear the backlash. Don't, no, because if the person has had plenty of chances, if the person has had plenty of time to, hey, we got to address this matter. Hey, we got to deal with this. And they still don't want to address the huge pink elephant in the room, then it's not your responsibility to be accountable for them, right? Because they are their own person. And as long as they refuse to be accountable for what they said to what they agreed upon, or, be accountable for themselves in any way, shape, or form, and you lose your shit, you gave them plenty of time, especially through friendly reminders. So, but anyways, let me not get all hyped up again because I'm going to mess up the video. So friendly reminders, hopefully the friendly reminders work. But me personally, as patient as I am, if the person is lacking a huge chunk of self-accountability, it don't matter how patient you are. So eventually you're going to lose your shit. And that's okay. That's okay. Lose it. But feel no shame, feel no, because I know sometimes we try to ignore the big elephant in the room because we don't want the backlash, right? We don't want to deal with the uncomfortableness of facing. Okay, look at that huge elephant right there. I know you see it. I see it too. How about we go over there and touch it, right? So no, don't feel shame. Don't feel guilt whenever you lose your patience. Especially if you've been given many, many friendly reminders. Okay, self-accountability. Come on, hello. So let's move on. Number 4, lead by example. And this is very huge for me because I will never expect anything of another person, especially if myself, cannot fulfill something. If I myself cannot do something, and whatever, I will let it be known. You know what? At this time, or no, I'm not capable of doing whatever, or extending myself to that matter. I will make it clear. So demonstrating the reliability of your own actions to encourage the other person to, withhold their own responsibility, you leading by example, I think that's a huge thing, because I'm not going to, how do I say it? Me personally, I'm not going to leave an opening to, let's say, okay, well, I'm expecting this from you, but I am unable to fulfill it myself. I can't do that, because at the end of the day, I see you as another me. Yes, you own and have your own consciousness. You have your own life's journey. Yes, you have your own path. You're going through your own stuff. You're going through your own things. But at the end of the day, I see myself in you, right? So I'm not going to expect something from you that I myself cannot fulfill. But if you came to an agreement with me and it was clear, and it was, clearly said and heard between two parties, and I'm leading by example of, okay, I'm going to treat you as I want you to treat me. And it's not that I'm just going to say it. I think my actions would speak louder than my words. through my actions, I am setting the example on how this self-accountability should run or walk or crawl. I will be the example. I will lead by example, of this self-accountability thing. So it's not that I'm just expecting from you. I am leading by example. I am the example of how this accountability thing should work or functions, through a balanced way. So leading by example is very important, because sometimes words are short. And as we say, words are very cheap, aren't they? This is why we blur them out everywhere without even noticing the consequences of our damn words. So, leading by example through action, demonstrating that reliability, that responsibility of self-accountability through yourself, through your own example. You encourage the other person, hopefully, because at the end of the day, even if you lead by example and they're refusing to be self-accountable, I mean, you can't really force a person, right? Can you? No. If a person is lacking self-accountability, I mean, you can do all kinds of shenanigans in front of them to set the example, to set the bar for them. But they're not going to see it. They're not going to see it because they refuse. They refuse to. So again, but once you do lead by example, hey, that's your part. You do your part. You lead by example. That's the end of it. Lead by example. All right. Number 4. Provide constructive feedback. Like offer specific solutions, or, just oriented insights on how to go about this accountability thing. The effects or the outcomes of, sometimes I say that criticism is not bad. Criticism can be very constructive. So providing that constructive feedback is important, and again, in a professional matter, in a professional, okay, well, I think there's this and that, but again, it's, I think, right? And I feel this way and I think this way. And it's up to the other person to take it however they take it. But, being specific and offering that feedback, hopefully it helps, right? I found out most of the time it's got a flashback. I don't know why. I guess it's just the way I speak, what I say, how I say it. I have no clue. But me providing the feedback is like, even before I get done, it's like, wham. So hopefully it works for somebody out there. But providing that constructive feedback, that constructive criticism, it's I don't know, I guess like a two-edged sword in a way, right? Because again, even if you say it with the kindest, greatest, goodest intention from within your heart, the other person, you don't know how they're going to react to whatever you're saying, But as long as you stay in your integrity and you, by example, you provide that constructive feedback, hopefully, it helps a little bit into their own self-accountability, right? We can only pray for that. We can't, set it on stone per se, right? All right, number 6. Establish consequences. And this is a huge one because, let's see, ever since I can remember, right? I have 3 children. I have 2 older girls and a boy. And ever since they were born, I spoke to them as I am speaking to a full-grown human being. I never baby talked with them. I never said goo goo gaga blah blah blah. And the first thing that they were taught was the consequences of their actions. This is the first thing that came to my mind as soon as I had a little tiny human in my hands, in my arms, that I should instill in them and establish in them a clear meaning of these are the consequences of your actions, and you are responsible for the outcome. You do this, this is the outcome. You do that, that's the outcome. And, I was never taught that. I was never taught that. Me, the consequences of my actions have been life. All I remember whenever I did something, I got a good ass whooping. That's it. No explanation, no nothing, wham. And if I survived, that was good enough for me. So, but establishing the consequences and implementing a fair repercussion to whatever actions they take or lack to take, and how committed they are to honoring themselves through their own self-accountability, to reinforce their own responsibility for themselves. It's a good way of dealing with these lack accountability individuals. These individuals that just refuse, they refuse. It's not that they don't have self-accountability. They just refuse to have it, right? Because they think they can get away with it. So make sure you establish consequences. Implement a fair repercussion. All right, well, you said you was going to do this. You said you was going to do that. And, all right, fine. Your self-accountability speaks for itself. Just reinforcing that self-accountability, reinforcing that self-responsibility towards them and towards you. Okay, this is my part, that's your part, right? That helps. That helps a bit. Again, but if we're dealing with a person that just refuses to deal with their own self-accountability, you're going to have a good hard time dealing with that. But again, you do your part, because their part is up to them. All right, number 7, prioritize your energy. Recognize when to push for accountability and when to direct your efforts elsewhere. So make sure you are very mindful. And I know this is a word that gets thrown around like there's no tomorrow. But that self-awareness of your own energy, prioritizing that self-awareness of how you direct your own energy, how you push that accountability about yourself and towards the other person or onto the other person. How your own awareness of your own energy is being, I guess, funneled in a way, because you got to prioritize your own state of mind. If you go nuts, if you go crazy over, all right, I've been dealing with this issue, this huge elephant in the room, enough time. I've been dealing with this, and came at this, please take self-accountability on this issue, and the other person is not hearing you, is refusing to still take self-accountability, is refusing to still be self-responsible to do their part or not do their part, then be mindful of your own energy. Because if you direct it too much towards whatever's going on, and you see no response from the other person, no positive response, for them to meet their responsibility, their accountability, then you can only do so much, right? And you cannot drive yourself crazy doing that. So be mindful, be self-aware. All right. And I know a lot of people don't like, most like people that lack self-accountability, don't like direct people. People that are direct with their words, that are, firm through their actions, that are, per se, they call us what? You're being too demanding, too strong, too whatever. But that's a good thing. When you have your energy intact, completely balanced, you say, okay, my yes is yes and my no is no, and I've had enough, and I've had up to here, and that's that, right? So be mindful. Be mindful of your own energy. If you let it go out of control in a completely unbalanced way, then that's going to throw you off. Not only in that situation, but in whatever else you got going on in your life, right? You're not able to focus on other stuff that needs your attention, or your whole energy can be thrown off for dealing with a person that is still refusing to take self-responsibility, that is still refusing to address the huge pink elephant in the room. So again, you do your part. Do your part, prioritize your own energy, and be fully aware of how you're using and directing that energy, because you cannot lose yourself all up in the circus. Okay? I'm gonna leave it alone because I'm gonna screw up the whole thing. But anyways, all right, that's number 7, prioritizing your own energy. All right, number 8, and this will be the last one, guys. Cultivate a positive accountability lifestyle. Oh, I like that one. All right, again, I go back to addressing, how I taught, the way that I taught, or how I taught this little tiny humans that I birthed, from birth, first time they were in my hands, wham, I seen the little ancient being in them, so there was no point on me baby talking them. Come on, are you serious? Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But cultivating a positive accountability lifestyle. There's many ways you can encourage the accountability mindset. There's many ways that you can encourage, especially if you have small children. Show them, teach them by example. Set healthy boundaries. Set instill in them balanced accountability for themselves, balanced repercussions for whatever they choose to do. Okay, look here, baby, sweetheart, honey, whatever you call your child, you do this and this is what's going to happen. Okay, baby, you do that and that's what's going to happen. Now you choose, but whatever your choice is, you're going to have an outcome. You're going to have an outcome. There's going to be a repercussion. There's going to be a total reaction to whatever you choose to do and whatever you choose to not do. Everything has a consequence. Even if you do nothing about whatever, it has a great consequence. You choose to do nothing about the big old huge elephant in the room, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Okay? Just saying. So instilling and cultivating a positive accountability lifestyle to, especially our little tiny humans that we are in charge of, that's setting the bar for the future. That's setting the bar for the future of our humanity. we're not just dealing with our own personal little lives here. Okay, I have kids, I have the dog, I have, my house and my picket fence kind of thing, right? No, we're creating a whole other human. And if we don't teach them to cultivate, self-responsibility and self-accountability, that the world owes you nothing. This world owes you nothing. You are here to make your own way. You are here to forge your own path. And if you don't, guess what? Life's gonna whoop that ass. Okay? So if us as parents or as mentors, as teachers, as, more matured, conscious beings, if we're not teaching this to our younger generations that are coming in, we're not making a good example of humanity. We're not setting the bar for the future of our own, self-aware collective. So it's up to us to cultivate that positive accountability lifestyle from the get-go. And if you haven't done it, you can start now. You can start today, right? We can start anytime. But the self-accountability, cultivating that, okay, I'm responsible for everything I do. I'm responsible for everything that I don't do. I'm responsible for all my actions, and I'm responsible for all my non-actions. I'm responsible for all this. I am fully, wholly responsible for my entire being. The world owes me nothing. So that's just a whole other mindset that you're able to instill and cultivate, for yourself and for those around you, and especially if you have a big influence on younger humans. So encouraging that, self-accountable part is going to have a great impact on one person's life. But not only that, it sprouts legs and arms and all kinds of things, right? If they have a lack of self-accountability, it sprouts whatever. And if they have a good sense of self-accountability, self-responsibility on, okay, this is me, my word has a consequence, my action has a consequence, my non-actions have a consequence, and if I don't say anything, it also has a consequence, right? That'll set a whole other level in humanity. That's what I think, and that's what I've seen, right? Because we have all these spoiled brats out here now that they were so spoiled. We as parents provided for them everything they wanted, everything they needed, that and plus more, right? And the lack of self-awareness that they begin to morph into, it's just mind-blowing. These individuals now are full grown. They're out there in the world using people, abusing the hell out of good-hearted individuals, thinking they're entitled to use other people for whatever their wants and their needs are. And that is completely freaking ridiculous to me. The world owes you nothing. You are entitled to nothing. Whatever you're entitled to is your own hard work, whatever you work hard for. That should be your own entitlement. Your own self hard work for whatever. Don't feel entitled to, okay, well, I can ask this person for this, I can ask that person for that, or no, that person they got my back, no, well, that they'll, and they build a whole, excuse my French, a whole motherfucking castle out of sand, because they're only building karma for themselves. And I know a lot of people don't believe in karma, and you don't have to believe it. That's okay with me. But that shit is real. And if you don't want to believe it, life will remind you. Whatever unbalanced you have caused through your own lack of self-accountability, through your own lack of refusing to take self-responsibility, you are only building karma for yourself. And we're talking about negative outcomes. The universe will bring a balance to it, and all your little castle will fall into smithereens. All right? It's not going to ask you for permission. Universal law and the spiritual law don't ask us for permission to bring balance into anything. Mother Earth don't ask us for permission, does it? You know, the natural state of things, do they ask us for permission? No, you bring an unbalance, and this, you're getting a good ass whooping. Because the natural state of things, how God meant them to be, they will come into balance. You like it or not. So, for all these entitled beings out there that we're dealing with, you know, lacking so much self-accountability, thinking they're entitled to other people's minds, emotions, situations, the way they live, the way they express themselves, you know, what they have, or just think they could just take whatever, you know, just spoilness, just complete unbalance, and lack of self-accountability, thinking they could just get away with anything, thinking they could just use and abuse people the way they want just to get whatever the hell they want, whenever they want. That is a hard pill to swallow, because I do not want to be in nobody's shoes that lives that way, because it all starts with one little lie, you know. It all starts with them little sweet lies they tell themselves, right? And I've seen it thousands of times, you know, where they fool themselves into believing that is right. That's right. That's the right thing to do. So, and that keeps growing. The lies, the twistery, the fuckery, the how they use people, how they lack the self-accountability for themselves. And it basically comes down to the lack of self-awareness of themselves. Like, no, you cannot do that to another human. What is wrong with you? Why? If you want something, if you want this outcome, if you want a certain type of lifestyle, if you work your ass off for it, go get it yourself. If you want to if you want to become the president of China, damn it, move to China and then go for it, you know? You ain't got to use other people as your damn stepping stones and mopping the floor with people's faces and you know, messing up their whole lives just for you to get what you want. Are you serious? No, that's not how you do things. But I guess they'll find out the hard way, right? Just like all of us do, because life's our greatest teacher. And if you don't believe in karma, good for you. Good for you, because I'm sure you'll meet her face to face one day. But I'm going to leave it alone. At the end of the day, the lack of self-accountability and the lack of self-responsibility, you know, to take full responsibility for their actions and not actions. I know sometimes it's mind-blowing, but it's just a refusal to see and accept that all their actions, all their non-actions, all their wording and non-wording has a consequence. Everything has a repercussion. Everything. You are energy imprisoned in a human body. That energy cannot be destroyed. Please understand that. Everything you do, the matter that you occupy, the mass that you occupy here on earth, it has this huge, humongous amount of energy, and it has an effect on people. It has an effect on your environment. You are affecting everything, even without you knowing you are. And everything you do, everything you don't do, everything you say and not say, it has a consequence. Everything has a consequence. Everything has a reaction. Everything has a repercussion. Okay? So, if you're dealing with these type of individuals, these spoiled brats, I call them, this entitled spoiled brats that refuse to be self-accountable, that refuse to have their own self-responsibility for themselves in how they are affecting other people's lives. Just do your part. Do your part. Stay fully aware of yourself and do what you got to do. Because I think we've, especially empaths, we've sat in the benches for too damn long. We just we thought, and we still think, a lot of us still think, right? Well, light and love, light and love is gonna fix this and that. Light and love is gonna fix my whole entire situation. God, please tell me what to do and I'll do it. Light and love, and that's what's gonna change. Lord help me. I love love. I love light. That's what I am. But I don't ignore the fact that we are dealing with a lot of darkness in this realm. That's a reality of things. All right? All this light and love, where we lack to take our own action towards all the imbalances that we are going through and that other people affects our lives through their lack of accountability and lack of responsibility. And we sit there and we do nothing. And we sit there and we say nothing. Because, oh God, you take care of them. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And then you can't really hear God because you're over here too damn busy taking care of this unbalanced situation. But you sit there and light and love, light and love. Light and love is going to light you up real quick. Okay? Because that's why a lot of empaths lose their lives. For not discerning between enough is enough and you got to get up and do something. Enough is enough and you got to defend yourself. Enough is enough and you got to take a stance and stand your sacred ground by yourself, for yourself. Because if you don't do it, God's not going to do it for you. He already gave you all the tools you need to deal with whatever. He's already given you the inner compass. He's already given you the inner guidance. You're the one refusing not to see the facts of the darkness that you're dealing with. And if you keep refusing to see the huge damn pink elephant in the room, I don't know what to say there. I don't, because a lot of people think that this light and love is going to take care of the whole thing. Yes, I do understand that, because without love, we really can't transform, right? Without the light, we really cannot be. Yes, I understand that. I completely and fully understand that. And anybody that knows me knows that I am a person that I will go through the means of love first. I am going to address you and I am going to treat you as my other me. Do you understand that? I treat you according to seeing myself in you. But when I see a lot of darkness in you and you keep playing games and you keep thinking that you're slick with your darkness and really messing me up on purpose, do you really think I'm going to sit here and just fucking take it the rest of my life? No, I mean, there's a certain point where you got to say, all right, if a snake comes and tries to bite you without you messing with it, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there, let it just bite you? Just saying. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there because I got went into a tangent again. So, just if you're dealing with people out there that lack self-awareness, that lack self-accountability, self-responsibility, and just abusing the hell out of you in every which way, shape, or form, be patient, be loving, love and light. But most of all, don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in the sauce. As I say, don't get lost in the sauce. But because we do have to have healthy, balanced boundaries on everything, right? We have to have, and then it's a must. If you don't have balanced boundaries in anything, then yeah, your life it goes upside down. It don't matter who you're dealing with. So, prioritize your energy and make sure you don't get lost in the sauce. All right. Do your part. Do your part. Be self-accountable for yourself, and do what you got to do for whatever situation that you're dealing with. Make sure you stay in your integrity. Make sure you stay in your heart. Make sure you don't. Sometimes we have to. Somebody said last night, I think one of my beautiful friends on Facebook, Erica, she said, sometimes it's good to fight fire with fire. Yes, it is. Completely agree. Especially when you've had enough of the damn bullshit. Right? Let's see. But if we can avoid it, let's avoid it. Right? Let's be grown about it. And if the people that you are dealing with, these self-entitled individuals that lack, again, self-accountability and self-responsibility, you can only have so much patience, and then you have to stand up and do something about it. That is what's going on in the world right now, right? A lot of people have to take self-accountability. They have to, they must. They have no other option but to, because all their consequences are coming back. All their actions, reactions of all their non-actions and actions. Yeah, now they have to deal with the system, right? Now they have to deal with all the fuckery they did before. So, and that goes for all of us, I'm not saying that, I've never done anything wrong or whatever. Shit, we're all perfectly imperfect, right? I'm not claiming to be perfect. I am who I am. I am what I am. And that's what I do, right? And if people don't like a certain way of me, I mean, as long as I stay in my integrity, as long as I stay in my heart, and as long as I know that my heart is in complete tune with my breath giver from within me, I got nothing to worry about. I sleep perfectly fine at night. So stay in your integrity, no matter what. Your inner moral compass, everybody has it, but not everybody uses it. So make sure that you use yours. Do everything in moderation, and try to stay balanced, regardless of what you're dealing with. Because it's only going to get a little bit rougher out here, guys. So y'all better just buckle up, buttercup. No matter what you're going through, stay in that integrity. You're going to overcome anything. Stay, in full tune of your inner compass, your moral compass. You ain't got nothing to worry about. The worries are for those that lack the self-awareness, that refuse to live through their moral compass, through their natural state of universal truth of things. They're the ones that should be worried about it, not people that stay in their integrity. So be ethical, be integral, and have good moral human common sense, god damn it. Because sometimes we just, oh my gosh, it's not so common, is it? Sense is I don't know. I'm not even going to go into it. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for showing up. I love y'all. Thank you for staying strong for yourself, most of all. And keep working on yourself. Keep working through those blockages, through whatever you got to work through to balance your own self, stay in complete tune with your breath giver, I call him, right? We all call it God, all right? Whatever you want to call this being that flows and breathes through you, breathes you. Stay in tune. Stay in complete sync with it. because that's the only way you're going to survive, especially in hard times. So I love you guys. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for all of us and for making this world a better place. Okay? Love y'all and see y'all soon. Bye.